Greetings, greetings. You are now tuned into the vault. Trust Christian, own nothing, control everything. Just want to thank you for tuning in live, listening into the replay. Gonna come at you all with another episode today. Why trust is a great estate planning tool, even if you're not rich. And so, just want to thank everybody once again for tuning in live or listening to the replay. Appreciate you all wherever you listen, wherever you are in the world. We always appreciate all the global listeners as well as the listeners that listen in the United States. Always appreciate you all. And so I just want to say Trust Christian is here to greet you all with salutations and hope everything's going well. And so we're going to start out today with the news as we always do. We're going to start out with some interesting things that may not be exactly the topic, which is the world's most expensive cities to live in. And this is just a recent report. I always like giving out things that if you all are not aware of what's going on. Um, they did a lot of cities in the United States and throughout the world, 100. And I'm just going to go through the list quickly. Singapore, France, Hong Kong, Switzerland. Switzerland came in fourth. Singapore, France, and Hong Kong were the most expensive cities to live in. uh, Zurich, Geneva, Switzerland, Osaka, Japan, Seoul, South Korea, Copenhagen, Denmark, New York, Los Angeles. So, and then also Israel is one of the cities in Israel as well is on there, tied for 10th. So, just wanted to talk to you about that. Those are interesting. When you think you're living in expensive cities, go look at those cities and see what's going on. I'm gonna go to some other things. I had a couple other pieces in the news that I was looking at. What happened to hedge funds? A lot of people are wondering what happened to hedge funds. I reported this a while back, but this leads into the episode. Four Chinese tycoons transfer 17 billion into trust. So very interesting. It's some families that transfer their wealth over into trust, and I think it's a great article. If you all Google that, you all will see that. So gonna go through some more. Alrighty. It much not much not the news wasn't too driven this past week. I think the episode is the most important thing. Why I trust is a great estate planning tool, even if you're not rich. But definitely wanted to always give out some news, some things that come across, our desk and things of that nature. So I trust. Why I trust is a great estate planning tool, even if you're not rich. We identify what what's outside of your control. Death and taxes. Family feuding. Family feuding is solved inside of trust. It avoids probate. People always ask, "Oh, what's the difference between the will and the trust?" And so, very important to understand when things are done in a certain manner or in the correct way, you all can put yourselves in a position where you all can not have to worry about probate. Probate is something that lawyers make money off of. It gives you a better option than probate. A lot of people may not know what probate is, but if you don't have a will where it still goes through probate, you'll die, which is a thing called intestate. And intestate is not is not something that I don't know how anyone would be happy about dying intestate. That's when the state immediately takes control over the estate, whatever assets are being held, and they administer the estate being divvied out to any quote unquote unnamed beneficiaries. Managing the assets. Let's talk about managing the assets on the back end. So you don't squander, so your children, your grandchildren don't squander the wealth in one or two generations. Family feuding over wealth, family not making quality decisions. Come from a long line of trustees that will share with you that being a trustee is not, of course, going to be easy, quote unquote, but being in a position of trustee There's some information that's out on the net that I've seen that talks about a protector inside of a trust. Sometimes when you look at maybe the second generation, third generation, protectors come in handy. Why? Because they're going to make sure that the trust documents being administered properly. These are positions I've seen people utilize. You see those things in, they're in common information, specifically over the internet. You can see, pieces of information that talk about a trust protector and things of that nature. I had some more details I wanted to share about this too as well tonight. Let me see. I had some notes. Always making a point to bring notes. So I see that we have quite a few people live with us, and always appreciate you all for tuning in live or listening to replay. If you all have any questions, feel free to type them into the chat. I'm doing my best to bring up some notes that I had about trust. Get quite a bit that comes up about trust, so I want to make sure that we can bring the best notes for you all tonight. Trust is a great estate planning tool because it separates your business wealth from your family wealth. There's over 80 different types of trust. Most people don't know which one they're supposed to use. You know, it's interesting. If I could only share the conversations I have with lawyers about how they talk about the common individual when it comes to uh, a trust, how they say the common individual doesn't want to divest themselves of assets and things of that nature. How that means they want to own something, they don't want to let go of it. So, a trust is a great estate planning tool because it allows you to plan for more than one generation. You can create an estate plan for more than one generation. So, we already have weeded out, quote unquote, maybe half the population per lawyers, per rich people. They say, why would a person think past themselves? Why would they think past another generation? That's the first issue. Is the individual such as yourself now has to be the trustee. You have to stop thinking about yourself. You have to think about more than one generation. That means you're doing more saving than you might be doing spending. So it allows people to plan for the next generation. It allows people to list the assets you want to include in the passing of those assets. So individuals having a list of what is to be administered or distributed. Identify the risk to your assets and make plans to protect them. There's four keys to wealth, ladies and gentlemen. Protect. That's the first key in wealth preservation. Protect. Preserve. Preserve means you're in a position where the wealth can be eroded. Grow. We always like to say in trusteeship, your first obligation is to grow the assets of the trust, or your obligation, one of them should be to grow the assets of the trust. How does the trust work if it's not doing anything? You're the trustee. You're supposed to make it happen. And then pass on. Pass on is just as important as the other three. They're all important. All four: protect, preserve, grow, and pass the wealth. That's that's what's going on. So you're just gonna leave it at that. Identify the loved ones you want to provide and protect. Do you hear the terminology? Provide and protect. So the trust is in place, and or here we go. You all can look this up. This is public information. Warren Buffett with the Berkshire Hathaway Foundation, and he said, "I'm not going to give to my children. I'm going to give to charity." Well, guess what? The Berkshire Hathaway Foundation gives to the charity that his children run. Simple. Decide whether you want to make charitable contributions. Isn't that the next thing in line? How is that the case? Decide whether you want to make charitable contributions. Ladies and gentlemen, I could give you all the heart of the vault. See, this is what the mentors bragged about. Here we go. They learned how to educate individuals to make more money giving it away. That's what the education is provided in the private from that perspective, from the Warren Buffett thought process. It's you learn how to make money giving it away. Charity. The mentors say, how long is charity going to be around? Forever. Who's not marketing? Ladies and gentlemen, we can go there, but we're just going to say, who's not marketing that? Who's not marketing the permanent industries? Determine whether your potential heirs or beneficiaries have any special needs. I think those are criticals. Determine whether you owe estate tax. How do you owe estate tax? Because the estate is in your name. That's why. It's that simple. The estate is in your name, the estate is going to have an estate tax. See, you die. Guess what? Trust don't. Decide whether avoiding probate is one of your goals. Well, if avoiding probate is one of your goals, then that's why a trust would be a great estate planning tool, even if you're not rich. They have different things like this inside of notes. Think about what will happen if you become incapacitated. And I guess this is something you should think about. That I don't know. I'm not like a doom and gloomer, so I don't think about you know that part of the incapacity. But I think if you have some people to provide for, or okay, for example, this is one of those questions that say pretty much who's your successor. Who's going to be your successor trustee? Why? Because if something happened to you, they would be able to step up and take position in what would be, it's not the estate but the trust, or whatever entity it is. And I think that that's something to think about in all business and law life, not just in particularly a trust. Make sure you have right insurance policies. It's interesting that my notes, these notes right here, have this. Make sure you have the right insurance policies. You know what I mean? People we sit in front of every single week, and just lack of emphasis on insurance policies for sure. And then speaking about a specific style of insurance policy, and what happens when you talk to the insurance agents? Oh, I don't do those policies. You have common knowledge, you have public knowledge, and you have private knowledge. And so, you deal with these insurance agents, all of them don't know the same thing. But having the right insurance policies are important. They say insurance agents are financial advisors, some of them. And so, how is that good? They can advise you to get what they're selling. So it doesn't make them all equal. Determine what legal tools you'll need to use. That was just a note I had there. You got to determine the tool, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Let's go. Let actually right in front of the internet for you all tonight. Let's go to the IRS website. Oh, did I say that? You want me to repeat it? Let's say it again. The IRS website. Then we're going to go to business. They want feedback already. No, we're going to go to IRS website, business structures. Let's see what we get come up for this. Business structures. Here we go. Here we go. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's business, not personal. There we go. We identified that. All right. Business structures. Directly from their website. When beginning a business, you must decide what form of business entity to establish. Your form of business determines which income tax return from you form you have to file. The most common forms of business, here we go. Common forms are the sole proprietorship, comma, partnership, comma, corporation, and S corporation. Period. Limited liability company is a business structure. Do you hear that? Allowed by state statute. Legal and tax considerations enter into selecting a business structure. Now, once again, let's read. This is public knowledge, ladies and gentlemen. Sole proprietorships, partnerships, corporations, S corps, and limited liability companies. So let's read the question again. Why is a trust a great estate planning tool even if you're not rich? Because someone blatantly said in front of your face, you're not rich. You don't need one of these. So don't even bother. So he can maybe take it as you're not going to bother because you're not rich, or we already know what the rich are using. Why? I've read to you all articles about blind trust of the voters providing public knowledge. There was recently an article that I think I did on one of the shows, and it was talking about how some of the politicians are trying to sign a bill to get rid of politicians utilizing blind trust. I'm like, is this quack or what? But you see, they don't even mention trust. You want to know why? Because the definition of a trust in, you want to know why? Because the definition of a trust in the Black's Law Dictionary is a secret. That's what it is. So now you all know it might be something worthwhile looking into because it deals with estate planning, and then you have a better conversation with estate attorneys when there's over 80 different types of trusts. Which one do you get in? Okay, so there's a question that came through. Thanks everybody for tuning in live. Once again, even listening to the replay, Paul, Ron, Tracy, Lavelle, Amanda, Evelyn, B, Cassandra. All right, so there's a question in the chat, but it's asking about credit with a trust. And of course, there's different types of trust. So lending practices obviously might be better or more favorable for certain styles of trust. Like there's public entities that are able to uh, get certain lending practices more favorable to them. It would be the same thing in trust. That's pretty evident. So thanks everybody for tuning in live or listening to replay. I'm opening to some questions that are along the lines of this episode. Uh, there's a bunch of content in this particular topic. Why trust is a great estate planning tool. Many reasons. Many reasons in this episode. I think is well worth the beginning part to just take in those notes, go back over those notes, be able to take those notes, and be able to have a great conversation with. If you go to an estate attorney on the public side, and privately, it encourages you to go to law library. That's what it encourages you to do. So, peace, Leo. Thanks for tuning in live. Alrighty. Well, I appreciate you all for tuning in live or listening to the replay. These are just some of the highlight points that I think about throughout my week and that we know that are valuable in your career or your development and whatever you're looking to do as far as managing entities, passing on wealth, growing wealth. Those are essential things. So we appreciate you for tuning in live or listening to replay. Feel free to reach out Christian at trustchristian.com for consultation or just to move forward with trustee training. Enjoy the rest of the day. Could trust work without a private status correction? I want to answer this question in so many words. Could a trust work with? There's a lot of options to your question there, Evelyn. I really would say that because you didn't put public or private trust without a private status correction in. Owning nothing, controlling everything is all the status correction you need. I get individuals that contact the vault all the time. The status correction is owning nothing, controlling everything. That is the private status correction. It's always been that. If you're not in a position of ownership, then how can you be taxed or sued for something? What did you do? You don't have anything in your quote unquote name. And anything you say is yours, you can be taxed or sued for. This is the law of the land, ladies and gentlemen. You all know the rules. You're in the public. So as you can see, play by the rules. Peace. Enjoy the rest of your day. Good night. Talk to you all wherever you are in the world.